So as guitarists, it gets very overwhelming with all the things that you need to learn, because we got to know our scales, we got to know arpeggios, we got to know triads, chords, seventh chords, tensions, everything, right? But I found that when it comes time to solo, it can be really overwhelming to try to use all that information in a way that's actually musical and that makes sense. So it's important to have a way to focus your energy on a single concept that will allow your solo to build better and have a better arc and a journey without having to think about everything under the sun that you can do. And even if you tried to play all those scales and arpeggios and triads and things at once, it's going to sound very jumbled, right? So it's very helpful for kind of honing in a specific concept or idea. So in this video, I'm going to show you an exercise that you can do to target specifically that. What we're going to do is we're going to take a chord progression, and for each of those chords, we're going to pick a specific interval to land on for every chord. I'm going to pick the same interval to land on for every chord. So within each chord, you have your chord tones, which I talk about a lot. If you watch my channel, I'm a big chord tones guy. Your chord tones are the notes that are already in your chord itself. So in any standard major chord, you got the 1, the 3, and the 5. The first, the third, and the fifth note of the scale. That builds your major chord. For minor, the 1, the flat 3, and the 5. I'm going to pick the third as my target interval. That means over every single chord that I'm going to play over, that I'm going to improvise over now, I want to make sure that I'm hitting the third on the downbeat of that chord. That means every time each chord comes around, I'm going to hit the third of that chord. In between, I'm going to allow myself to fill in the space with anything else that I know works in that area. So other chord tones, scale notes, whatever. But we want to structure this out in a way so that we're not just jumping into it full force, because it's very difficult to do that. So I'm going to start by looping a simple progression. We're going to go F minor, B flat minor, E flat, and A flat. It's like a 6-2-5-1. And in time, I'm going to play the third of each of those chords first, just by playing that single note. Then what we'll start to do is piece by piece, we're going to start to fill in the middle, show you guys how to do that effectively. So the next step from here is to start to fill in the space in between those actual chord tones there. And we're going to start with just one note in between. So I'm going to use one note that's close by to the note that I want to get to. So if I'm on the F minor and I'm here, right? I'm a minor third. And I want to get down here to the flat 3 of the B flat minor. I want to use a note that's somewhat nearby that flat 3 of the B minor to kind of lead me there nicely. And if I want to get to the third of the E flat then, maybe up here, maybe I'll use a note that's like next to it in the scale or nearby in the scale. And then same thing with the A flat, right, or. And all the other notes I'm using, in this instance, I know that this chord progression is in the key of A flat, so I'm just using notes from the A flat major scale to surround my chord tones. Let's hear what that sounds like. So now that I'm starting to get the hang of this, I'm going to start to fill in more space in the middle and allow myself the freedom to bring in more scale notes, maybe more chord tones, maybe even some funky passing tones or chromatic notes or whatever it is in the middle. And let's see what that sounds like. So what I'm noticing is as I'm focusing on the third, my ideas have a certain feel, right? The resolution note, in this case the third, is really going to affect like the way that that phrase feels for you. And you might like certain phrases, you might not like certain phrases. So from here you want to test different intervals and see what those might sound like. All right, so next I'm going to pick a different interval. I'm going to pick the fifth. So far I'm picking only chord tones. You could also try this with tensions. You could try it with like the 4 or the 9 of each chord or whatever. But I'm going to pick the fifth of each chord here and see what that sounds like. So again, step 1 is just to play the fifth of each chord on the downbeat. So let's hear that. And now same thing from here, I'm just going to fill in the space with one note in between, one leading tone in between. And finally, I'm going to give myself more freedom now to fill in more of that space while still focusing on hitting the fifth of each chord on the downbeat. So you can do this with any chord progression in any key with any interval, right? So there's endless practice to be had there. Now, one important note, one last note here is that I did a chord progression that all stays within one key. This gets a little more challenging if you're using non-diatonic chords. So if you have a chord progression that cycles through different key centers, obviously that's going to be more difficult because then you got to switch what scale you're using and all that. But that would be like the advanced level. That would be a challenging way to do it. So I would start with chord progressions that keep you within one key so that you're just dealing with one parent scale and you can focus a little bit easier that way. So get after it. Again, I'm Eli. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe for more content like this. And if you really want to break free of the intermediate level and reach an advanced level of fluency, check out the link in the description to my community, and I will see you in the next one.